Harry reached out to stroke Hedwig, but she clicked her beak so furiously and soared into the rafters out of reach. "First Ron, then you," said Harry angrily. "This isn't my fault." If Harry had thought that matters would improve once everyone If Harry had thought matters would improve once everyone got used to the idea of him being champion, the following day showed him how mistaken he was. He could no longer avoid the rest of the school once he was back at lessons, and it was clear that the rest of the school, just like the Gryffindors, thought Harry had entered himself for the tournament. Unlike the Gryffindors, however, they did not seem impressed. The Hufflepuffs, who were usually on excellent terms with the Gryffindors, had turned remarkably cold toward the whole lot. One herbology lesson was enough to demonstrate this. It was plain that the Hufflepuffs felt that Harry had stolen their champion's glory, a feeling exacerbated perhaps by the fact that Hufflepuff House very rarely got any glory, and that Cedric was one of the few who had ever given them any, having beaten Gryffindor once in Quidditch. Ernie Macmillan and Justin Fletchley, with whom Harry normally got on very well, did not talk to him, even though they were repotting bouncing bulbs at the same tray. Though they did laugh rather unpleasantly when one of the bouncing bulbs wriggled free from Harry's grip and smacked him hard in the face. Ron wasn't talking to Harry either. Hermione sat between them, making very forced conversation, but though both answered her normally, they avoided making eye contact with each other. Harry thought even Professor Sprout seemed distant with him, but then she was head of Hufflepuff House. He would have been looking forward to seeing Hagrid under normal circumstances, but Care of Magical Creatures meant seeing the Slytherins too. First time he would come face to face with them since becoming champion. Predictably, Malfoy arrived at Hagrid's cabin with his familiar sneer firmly in place. "Ah, look, boys, it's the champion," he said to Crabbe and Goyle the moment he got within earshot of Harry. "Got your autograph books? Better get a signature now, because I doubt he's going to be around much longer. Half the Triwizard champions have died. How long do you reckon you're going to last, Potter? 10 minutes into the first task's my bet." Crabbe and Goyle guffawed sycophantically. You guys can look that one up later. But Malfoy had to stop there because Hagrid emerged from the back of his cabin balancing a teetering tower of crates, each containing a very large blast-ended Skrewt. To the class's horror, Hagrid proceeded to explain that the reason the Skrewts had been killing one another was an excess of pent-up energy, and that the solution would be for each student to fix a leash on a Skrewt and take it for a short walk. The only good thing about this plan was that it distracted Malfoy completely. "Take this thing for a walk," he repeated in disgust, staring at one of the boxes. "And where exactly are we supposed to fix the leash? Around the sting, the blasting end, or the sucker?" "Round the middle," said Hagrid, demonstrating. You might want to put on your dragonhide gloves. Just an extra precaution, like. Harry, you come here. Help me with this big one." Hagrid's real intention, however, was to talk to Harry away from the rest of the class. He waited until everyone else had set off with their Skrewts, and then turned to Harry and said very seriously, "So, you're competing, Harry? In the tournament? School champion?" "One of the champions," Harry corrected him. Hagrid's beetle-black eyes looked very anxious under his wild eyebrows. "No idea who put you in for it, Harry. You don't believe I didn't do it then, said Harry, concealing with difficulty the rush of gratitude. Oh, gee. You believe I didn't do it then, said Harry, concealing the difficulty. My goodness, I'm messing this one up. You believe I didn't do it then, said Harry, concealing with difficulty the rush of gratitude he felt at Hagrid's words. Of course I do, Hagrid grunted. You say it wasn't you, and I believe you, and Dumbledore believes you too and all. Wish I know who did do it, said Harry bitterly. The pair of them looked out over the lawn. The class was widely scattered now, and all in great difficulty. The Skrewts were now over 3 feet long and extremely powerful. No longer shellless and colorless, they had developed a kind of thick, grayish, shiny armor. They looked like a cross between giant scorpions and elongated crabs, but still without recognizable heads or eyes. They had become immensely strong and very hard to control. Look like they're having fun, don't they? Hagrid said happily. Harry assumed he was talking about the Skrewts, because his classmates certainly weren't. Every now and then, with an alarming bang, one of the Skrewts' ends would explode, causing it to shoot forward several yards, and more than one person was being dragged along on their stomach, trying desperately to get back to their feet. I don't know, Harry. Hagrid sighed, suddenly looking back down at him with a worried expression on his face. School champion? Everything seems to be happening to you, doesn't it? Harry didn't answer. Yes, everything did seem to happen to him. That was more or less what Hermione had said when they were at the lake. And that was the reason, according to her, that Ron was no longer talking to him. The next few days were some of Harry's worst at Hogwarts. The closest he had ever come to feeling like this had been during those months in the second year when a large part of the school had suspected him of attacking his fellow students. But Ron had been on his side then. He thought he could have coped with the rest of the school's behavior if he could just have Ron back as his friend, but he was going to try and persuade Ron to talk to him if Ron didn't want to. Nevertheless, it was lonely, with dislike pouring in and out from both sides. He could understand the Hufflepuff's attitude, even if he didn't like it. They had their own champions to support. He expected nothing less than vicious insults from the Slytherins. He was highly unpopular there, and always had been, because he had helped Gryffindor beat them so often, both at Quidditch and in the Inter-House Championship. But he had hoped the Ravenclaws might have found it in their hearts to support him as much as Cedric. He was wrong, however. Most Ravenclaws seemed to think that he had been desperate to earn himself a bit more fame by tricking the goblet into accepting his name. Then there was the fact that Cedric looked the part of a champion so much more than he did. Exceptionally handsome, with his straight nose, dark hair, gray eyes. It was hard to say who was receiving more admiration these days, Cedric or Victor Krum. Harry actually saw the same 60-year girls who had been so keen to get Krum's autograph begging Cedric to sign their school bags one lunchtime. Meanwhile, there was no reply from Sirius. Hedwig was refusing to come anywhere near him. Professor Trelawney was predicting his death with even more certainty than usual, and he did so badly at summoning charms in Professor Flitwick's class that he was given extra homework, the only person to get any, apart from Neville. Alrighty, that is it. That's 10 minutes. We're at the bottom of this page right here, and it's not even a break, but can't read anymore, or else it's going to be too hard
to upload.